In this tutorial, we're going to look at a couple of different methods of achieving what ostensibly appears to be the same exact result on our timeline. I purposely say ostensibly because in actuality they do produce or create different views of our timeline media events. I'm referring to two terms called slipping and sliding. These two terms, or functions, I find are very useful and therefore important because they allow us to either see our media event on the timeline in a static position, or the antithesis in that we can adjust the position of the media event on the timeline, but our view of it is adaptively obscured, i.e. it keeps moving, or as I say, adapting. To try and help explain what I'm referring to here, it might help to think of our media event as a rectangular container, which I suppose is exactly what it is. And this rectangular container is essentially a hole or a window that you can look through to see what's on the other side of it. And what is on the other side of it is your media, be it video or audio or a photograph. Now imagine for a moment that your video file, not its event container, the actual video clip itself, well imagine that that is glued and stuck in position on the timeline, resolutely refusing to be moved. However, by contrast, our event container hole, or perhaps window, as we're now considering it, can be moved independently of the stuck media event on the timeline. Well, by being able to move just the event container or window to the media on the other side of it, by being able to move just the event container and not the actual media, the video in our case, well, this is known as sliding. Incidentally, the terms slipping and sliding are not restricted to Vegas Pro. These are terms used throughout the industry for these actions. Anyway, I'm fairly sure you can work out the converse to sliding is known as slipping. When the media does move on our timeline, it's the event container, the hole or the window, that remains stuck in its position. So, I think that's now enough theory to numb our brain, so let's take a look at what I've been saying in practice. Here's a file on our timeline. It's one we've seen a few times already. Well, for us to be able to see it, the video file on our timeline, it has a container, the event, allowing us to look through it to see the video file below or behind it. Now for this slipping and sliding tutorial, we'll initially look at the concept of sliding, where the event container moves and the media below it or behind it is stuck or glued down as it were. We'll look at slipping later. So here's what we do. To be able to slide this event container, and remember it has the actual video clip media stuck behind it, we need to hold down our keyboard's Control plus Alt buttons whilst you are dragging or moving the event. Therefore now, with Ctrl and Alt clicked and held down, notice that your cursor alters to that new cursor. It's a sort of square or rectangle with two arrows pointing out of its sides. And then if you left click, but still remembering of course to select Ctrl and Alt held down on your keyboard, well now drag to the right, and as a result you can see the video preview here on the timeline. You can see it moving. Additionally, you'll also see a split screen preview in the main monitor up there. I'll do it again. I'll hold the Ctrl plus Alt keys down and drag once more. Now, to be honest, when initially trying to understand what is going on here, it's probably easier to understand the concept if you look at the audio waveform display in the embedded audio file. Just before I do, I'll use the grabs there on my horizontal scroller to zoom in. OK. Now, if you focus your attention on the audio waveform there, as I'm sliding over it, you can see our hole, or window as we're calling it. Well, this event container is moving, but the audio below it, and I only mean literally below, on track 2, rather than metaphorically, through our window, well, this event container is moving, and you can see that by the fact that the wave peaks remain exactly where they are. If I move my CTI to this audio waveform peak here and do it again, notice that the peak stays where it is. It doesn't move its position along our timeline, hence when we play this back, this portion or this part of our video and its embedded audio will remain exactly where it is. We're not moving the event container, our hole or window, to the video behind it. We're not moving that in parallel with the media itself. Now I'll just enlarge our track list so that you can see this better. I'll enlarge the waveform display and I think I'll zoom in a little bit more as well. So again, holding the Control and Alt keys down, left click and you'll find you can drag it to the left or the right, and again notice how our little window here, our little hole to the video and the audio behind it, well, it's sliding along so that we can reveal the audio and the video stuck in that position. Okay, let's do the converse now. Let's slip the event, and we slip the event by simply holding the Alt key down, not Control plus Alt. When we are slipping, we just hold the Alt key down. If I vacillate between the two options, Control plus Alt and just Alt, well, you'll see the difference there. So now by left clicking like this with just our Alt key down, then you'll now notice the cursor changes to the slip cursor. It's not quite the same as the slide cursor, so now when I drag to the left or to the right, you'll notice the window remains static. Our event container, that remains static. But this time, by contrast, behind it, you'll see the video and the audio, which is what we're focusing on. You'll see the video and the audio are moving, which of course is the exact opposite to what happened when we were sliding the event container. Okay, I'll hold the Alt key down once more and drag around so that you can see it again. And you can see the audio and the video slipping away underneath, whilst our event container remains static. If you keep your eye on an audio spike, this one for example, then you'll see how it slips along with the cursor. So this time, if we were to play this back on our timeline, our position will have moved. Okay, easy enough then. So that's what we do when we want to slip or slide our event and related media on our timeline.